It is the technology show where we translate geek into regular speak. And I have a very disjointed show this week. Love the fact that I can keep rhyming. So I have a guest co-host and a guest. The guest is thanks to the guest co-host, but both of them can only join in the next 10 or 15 minutes odd. So going to do the things with the Z at the end because we're going to do an app review and the guest is actually the person that created the app. So for now, I'm just going to go into business news. If I can just bring up my screen, let's get that up there. There we go. And share. Right. So we should have that popping up. Right. So what have I got for us this week? Okay. So again, for Tess, in case you ever get worried that I'll do a show without mentioning Apple, fear not. I will not ever let you down. We saw this whole little, I'm sure that animated as well. We had a whole little nice, there we go. This appeared online today with a date of September 14th. This is the Apple event. Now, the rumor mills will be going crazy. One of the questions that actually came through, I think it was either last week or the week before, I don't remember. I've actually had the question a few times, is we keep talking about the rumor mills and we keep predicting, and quite often, more often than not, we're actually the people that predict are right. It's a very simple reason. The people that make all the accessories for the upcoming devices, they sign NDAs and they sign non-disclosures and all those good things, but they get given the dimensions of the new devices ahead of the launch so that the accessories are obviously ready. You can't get a phone without a phone case. You can't get a watch without a band, and so on and so on. So, the people, why they leak the information, I mean, that's to be stars and to be famous. But basically, as the years have gone on, the predictions and the leaks have been more accurate. So I'm quite excited. There's a couple of things that are potentially coming out next week. Can't believe it's next week already. Let's start with the phone. So this event in September is traditionally about the phone. It's always about the phone and the matching iOS. iOS 15 has been in beta for some time now, so we know that that's coming out next week. And as I said, it's normally coupled with a new device. Do they call it iPhone 13? Is it an unlucky number for some, lucky for others? We don't know. Chances are it will be 13. I think the whole days of the S are gone. If you remember a few models back, we got was the 5, 5S, 6, 6S, 7, and then 7 Plus S. So I think those days are gone. I think they'll stick to the normal number convention. So we should see the iPhone 13 coming out. The prediction is nothing really major from a design change compared to the 12, the current one. Cameras will be better, processor will be better, more speed, etc. Those are given. The one thing that has gone through the rumor is the integration of satellite technology. Now, that's quite exciting. It doesn't mean you can start joining drug cartels and making satellite phone deals from the middle of nowhere. That's not what it's going to be designed for. The idea is for, given how many emergencies and world catastrophes we've had with fires and floods and all these other wonderful things besides COVID, the thinking is that if you're ever out of range, and even something non-sinister, you could be hiking, fall off a cliff, injure yourself, need to get airlifted, no cell phone reception. So the idea, or what the rumor mills have been saying, is that we'll have satellite feed. So there'll be satellite ability to connect to low orbit satellites within this device. Now, that might not seem like a major update. That's a pretty big update. It also opens up the whole world of satellite connected devices bordering on the Internet of Things, which it's a bit of an oxymoron given how advanced the phone is, that it's using what's always been deemed as dumbed down technology, making non-smart devices smart through Internet of Things. So it's going to be interesting. As I said, I don't think from a design point of view, I don't think we're going to see anything different. And in fact, to confirm that, the next prediction is we might see, but apparently due to, again, the world situation and COVID and shortages, there will be a delay in getting it out. But the rumors are that the Apple Watch 7 will be released. Now, the renderings that I have seen, I didn't put any up here, show the watch to be very different to the current device. We still got the round beveled edges like the old iPhones. And the rumors are suggesting that the new iWatch will now look like the new iPhone, squared off, much more flush, much neater. I'm just acknowledging that I can see our guest has come into the green room, so I do know you're there, and I'll be bringing you on shortly. And that's one of the predictions, or one of the things that we are predicting will be happening as the new iWatch, Apple Watch, sorry, but it will be delayed in its release. The MacBook 14 and 16 inch have been rumored, which now this is always interesting. We measure screens from the bottom corner to the top corner. You don't measure horizontally, you measure diagonally. So even if it does move to 14 and 16 inch, I'm pretty sure that Apple will be talking about screen space as opposed to the actual body of the device being a 14 or 16 inch. So for those that are used to the current MacBook 13 or 15 inch factor, the size shouldn't change, but you'll lose the bezel around the edge of it, the black line, and you'll probably find that it goes more edge to edge, much like we saw with MacBook when the MacBook came out, which was the little 12-inch version that actually fit into an 11-inch chassis. So just to confuse us, that's how Apple plays. Staying with Apple, I covered this story a little while ago about the fact that Apple was going to be launching some software that would read read through the photos before you upload them, looking for things like child pornography. They've taken massive flack for this, and the announcement, I think yesterday or late last week, is that they will delay the launch of this technology. When I did cover the story, I was actually quite a big fan of it. I suppose the irony is that Apple's a company that prides itself on privacy. This would clearly go against privacy, but it goes down to what I always say on the show. If you don't have anything to hide, you don't have anything to worry about online. So it's only if you're doing something you shouldn't be doing, sharing content you shouldn't be sharing, or making deals you shouldn't be doing. It's a connected world. Your passcodes and passwords and all over the place anyway. Not that I'm suggesting we throw caution to the wind and just do, but yeah, they have delayed it. So for all those people that were worried, or maybe were thinking of not now getting an iPhone because of it, and I think that's one of the reasons why they've maybe taken a little bit of a backward stance, is that there's clearly would have been an effect on sales, and we're going into sales season now. So there's a U-turn there from Apple. Right. I'm really repurposing slides today. So this was my Richard Branson when he went to space, and as soon as he's landed, we now have to remove from Richard Branson because the FAA has put his whole Virgin Galaxy spaceship or galactic spaceship under investigation. So the flight that was scheduled for the public, I think in October at the moment, is grounded. There was something to do with the landing when they landed from his last little sojourn into space. They need to do some investigating or check why it veered off right, or I don't know the full story. I just, I think it's important that if we're going to start going into space, and the FAA is our authority in this area, we can't just have billionaires flying their craft wherever they choose to. It's no different from drones. We don't need them in the public airspace, and they do need to conform to whatever else we're doing. I really am repurposing slides. So last week I started off, and in fact, I'll tell you, it's Aryeh that's going to hopefully be joining us today as well. I wish Aryeh was here, because last week I started this slide with a picture of the Samsung Note 7, the infamous phone that caught on fire. And then I did this, and I showed that the new Hyundai Kona was catching on fire. Now, in their brilliant wisdom, they've made an announcement that they are now giving up on, or not giving up, but they're going to hedge their bets against hydrogen. The hydrogen cells, the Toyota Camrys have been running on hybrid hydrogen cells for many years now. Just a little message to all the boys and girls over at Hyundai. Hydrogen dioxide, also known as water, great for putting out fires, not electrical fires. Hydrogen, the product, really, really flammable. So you might want to kind of think about that for a second or two, given that you already having some issues with your devices catching on fire. For those that do not come from America, that is the Lone Star State, good old Texas. We're now going to start calling it the Lone Seoul, as in Korea State. There are two parts of Texas that are vying for attention at the moment. There's Austin, the capital, and a little place called Taylor. I actually have been to Taylor. It's not that little. Everything in Texas is big. Samsung will be opening up a $17 billion chip facility. Not fried chips, sorry guys, proper chips as in silicone. And this will bring 1,800 jobs to the region. So Taylor's making offers of tax incentives, property tax reductions, and so on to try and get Samsung to consider Taylor. Austin being the capital probably makes more sense from a logistics point of view, but let's see what happens. So we've got that to look forward to. The SME Mall, that's smemall.org. This is the featured vendor for the week. Now, here in Australia, we are still in lockdown. I can't say we're in lockdown. The word still is actually quite important. We're still in lockdown. Escape Hunt is basically a virtual escape room that you can play at home. There's different types. You can get one and download it and print it out. You can get one and download and just work on your computer. You can do it online with your mates or family that are not with you. Really good fun. This specific one's the Pegasus project. It's $35. So head on over to the mall, get one, have some fun, and see if you can escape, or at least escape from the escape room, let alone from your house or your flat. What else do we have over here? I think that might actually bring us to the last bits and pieces before our friend jumps online. But let me just quickly do that. So I'm going to go, the last bit of news that I got is, unfortunately, that's what Crumpler now looks like. Now, I love Crumpler. Crumpler's an Australian brand. They just celebrated their 25th birthday. They make the coolest backpacks. Even when I was living in South Africa, I had a Crumpler. Unfortunately, they have just filed for voluntary liquidation. I'm not saying this with a jovial intent. You know, it's just, this is the reality of what's going on with COVID at the moment, is that big brands are falling. So the reason for putting this up there is, if you've ever owned a Crumpler bag, you know how great they are for your laptops, although we're not necessarily running around at the moment, which is probably the reason why no one's buying Crumpler products. There obviously will be some on sale online. So if you do like the brand, if you do like or think that you might be allowed to go out again sometime soon, head on over, find a Crumpler now, because they're going to be collector's items soon. And what's the last bit of news that I have? Bitcoin mining. Right. So this is very interesting, and I'm going to use it as a lead into our guest of the week. So the amount of electricity that Bitcoin mining uses is 91 terawatt hours of electricity annually. Now, that is more than the population of Finland. So if you take a whole country that has lots of people doing lots of things all the time, Bitcoin mining is using or consuming more electricity than this. So, you know, Elon Musk made a little bit of a U-turn around electricity and Bitcoin not being green, and hence not taking Bitcoin for Tesla. He's changed his stance. But I did want to use this as a little bit of a segue into our guest for this week. As I said, normally we do the product or tech review or app review at the beginning of the show, but I wanted to save it. Our guest is from Finland. I will be bringing her into the studio now. Let me find my magic buttons, and if I can get my mouse to play nicely and come back here. So let's see, Tina, we should be able to bring you into stream now. There we go.
Hello. All right, I will try to be in screen myself. Hi.
There we go.
I'm coming
Tina,
to you from my sauna, as a proper Finn
should. I can see the wood in the background. Now that would be very stereotypical for anywhere in Scandinavia, right? I mean, that's one of the things that people love to do up that side of the world.
Yeah, Finland has more saunas than, I think, people.
Well, okay, well, that
I'm not dead sure about that, but we have a lot. Many apartments have them. So this is my quiet space. This is my, talk to people over Zoom space for the pandemic.
Thank you so much for getting up nice and early to join us. It is a live show. I did push out the start a little bit later to try and accommodate as well. But coming from Finland, it's 7 in the morning there, or 6 in the morning, or something.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's dark.
Luckily,
that much I know. It'll be dark.
No, it's light, because it's still more on the summer side.
You still get your summer side, because you have like lots of light and then you have lots of dark.
Yeah.
So Finland's the one place I haven't been in Scandinavia, and I know that Aryeh, I think, is either Finnish or Norwegian by descent.
Yeah, he's half Finnish.
He loves sauning or saunering, or whatever the right word is. Tina, the reason we brought you on the show today, and I actually have got a screen of it up here, so I don't have to try and hold my phone. Let me get my screen shares back up. Where are we? That button. Here we go. And you have built a product called Pical. I pronounce it Pical. Is it Pical? Is it Pical?
We've been calling it Pical, because it's like Pi 3.14,
Right.
that sort of Pi. But that's fine. Pical also works if it helps people remember it.
Well, I suppose we could do the whole potato thing. I can see that Aryeh is there, so I'm going to bring him in as well. Hello, Mr. Sternberg.
What's happening?
Can you see your favorite pastime in the background behind Tina?
I can, and I've actually virtually visited her sauna before. It's I'm absolutely jealous.
Well, I am glad you made it onto the show. I have tried to stage this, and your timing was perfect. I've just brought Tina on. We chatted about more saunas than people in Finland, and I've just brought up the screen for Pical. Thinking about it with the circles, the pronunciation definitely makes more sense. So, Aryeh, maybe if you want to quickly jump in as well, because it's because of you that we're actually speaking to Tina today. So it makes sense that you kick off the segment for us.
Sure. Well, I'm not sure how much of the introduction of who Tina is and why she's here.
Just
Nothing.
got to the screen, and that was it, and you popped in.
And that's it. Fantastic. Well, I've known Tina for longer than I've known most people who I actually talk to on a daily, weekly, or even monthly or yearly basis these days. We went to high school together back in Boston, Massachusetts.
Boston.
And have been in touch. And one thing that Tina's regularly been able to do is just produce incredible pieces of technology. And when I approached her to be a guest on my podcast, Breaking the Barrier, to talk about, what she's doing and the barriers she's broken, she brought up the latest technological invention that she's brought out, which is Pical. And I just thought that it made so much sense, being slightly ADD myself, being able to look at something visually and just understand what's happening, where it's happening, and both the colors and the information that's being communicated. It just made a lot of sense to me, particularly the quadrant that says ZZZZ, because I wish that was a bit bigger for me. But I just I felt that it deserved to be on the technology show, and what better way to invite Tina on to give an introduction.
Well, I'm going to pick up very quickly before we hand over to Tina to just take us through the thinking of that. Because initially when you reached out to me, first it was because I've got an iPhone. Aryeh, you actually dodged a little bit of a shots fired scenario. I was referencing that infamous Note 7 earlier, hashtag just saying. So you weren't here for that, but I can remind you of it, hashtag just saying. So you reached out to me and said, hey, you've got a mate that building cool tech. I've got an iPhone. Can I try it out? And my initial response is I didn't quite understand what I was looking at. And then we jumped on the chat, and then it was like aha moment. Because exactly what Tina was saying also, and yourself now, what it is, if you haven't figured out, I've left on the screen long enough, it's a calendar, but it's in a round or pie shape, and it's broken your day up into pieces of the pie. And it's just such a logical way to actually look at a day in segments as opposed to in lines. Tina, hopefully I've done that justice. I mean, I've got it on my phone. I'm going to try and do the whole, like, if you hold up your phone to the screen, can you see properly kind of thing? So, I mean, there's my day. So, you've still got the day over there. And then if I move it, can't do this upside down. If I move it, then you can see the pictures of the piece of the pie are moving around the top just for the viewers. I hope I've got that in camera properly. And they're changing color and so on. So hopefully that's enough of an intro, Tina, to take us through the thinking as to how you came up with Pical.
Yeah, so I have ADD, and so time has always been a problem for me. Also, excuse me, I have some kind of flu. Let's hope it's not corona, but anyway. So I kept on not really if I looked at a clock and I had my calendar and so on, somehow it was really hard for me to grasp when something was. And actually, Aryeh, all through high school, I was just kept telling my kid this. I relied so much on having my dorm roommates or something like tell me, okay, now it's time for assembly, or, it's first period, or that kind of thing. So, coping mechanisms all the way. But I realized that one thing that is often kind of related to ADD is this kind of trouble with clocks, and sometimes dyscalculia, as in like numbers, are kind of in a different conceptual place than they are for other people. So in this case, with a 24-hour clock, sorry, I'm going to try to do this one. With a 24-hour clock,
ADD, I click buttons all the time and play.
With a 24-hour clock, you see the whole day at once. And what happens then when you start putting your appointments there is your appointments get a direction. So up is noon. So if you see an appointment at the top of that circle, that's lunchtime. If you see an appointment, to the right, that's dinner time. And at the bottom, it's midnight, and 6 a.m. is then, that way. So really early morning, lunch, dinner, probably sleep time. And that way, when you see a bunch of appointments like on this side, it's okay, sometime between lunch and dinner. So time becomes a direction instead of a number.
I'm actually going to bring this back up again as well, just so that the viewers can see, because you've explained it very clearly. If you look at that picture there's the quadrants that you talked about. But when you actually look at in suit over here, as the example, you've got soccer at 8 in the morning, and there it is there. So between your start of your day towards your midday, just by looking at that piece, that is kind of, when I say mid-morning, I'm talking about from 6 to 12. The midpoint would be 8. Well, actually probably 10, but 9. But it's a quick glance to see where you are in your day. Now, the colors, do those represent anything, or is that the way
yes,
you set that up in your tabs? Or
it's interesting that you were mentioning privacy earlier, because one of the principles that we had with this was that we didn't want to own people's data, because we're a small outfit and we know that we don't have, the capabilities to have the level of security that we would, want people to trust with our data. So instead, we use the calendars that are already on your phone. So we use your Google Calendar, your iPhone calendar. So Google and Apple take care of your privacy, and they've got that covered, right?
Yep.
In the meantime, so each color is a different calendar, and you'll notice that there's an inner circle and an outer circle, because often what happens is that you have your calendars, and then you have your work colleagues' calendars or your family calendars, and so each color represents a different calendar. So the yellow might mean, that might be my son's calendar because it's a sleepover there. So yellow on the inner circle means it's a family thing. It's not something that I really need to know. I mean, I need to sort of ambiently know about, but I don't need to be involved necessarily. The sleepover is just happening. Or soccer is just happening. Whereas the outside ring are the things where I need to be there.
Okay. So you're going to have lunch with Joe and dinner with Susan because your son is sleeping out. So it's party time.
Right.
That's what I'm seeing from that calendar on, what was it, Jan 31.
Right.
In fact, that's a new Old Year's Eve. So I'm hoping that dinner goes all the way around that way.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah. So it's a cool question. Does it, in one of the challenges that, I'm on Android, and I know that iPhone, there's some issues, to get all of your calendars in one place. Like I've got my personal, I've got Gmail, and I've got my work mail, which is on Outlook. It would seem that this would also solve that problem as well. Be able to integrate both, everything at once without having to look at, 3 different calendars, which I do now.
Yeah, we've been talking about this in terms of, this is like a view into your existing calendars. This is a lens through which you can see all your calendars at once.
That's great.
And then the other thing is that because it's a 24-hour clock, that means that we've been able to add time zones. And that means that, you can have a dot that's kind of constantly going around the edge that tells you what time it is in some other place. And then you can also go to a different view.
That was a big feature for me. So my team still sits in South Africa, which is closer to your time zone. At the moment, it's 6:40 in the morning. So if I put things where I need to speak to my team, I can just look at my PA and see straight away that there's a density of color at the, towards the bottom. Let's say on a traditional watch, 5 o'clock, which is not a normal working time for me, given that 12 is there and 6 is there,
Yeah.
and I'm now heading towards midnight. So straight away I can see, hold on a second, why have I got a meeting scheduled for, let's say, 8 o'clock at night on my time zone? And because I can see straight away what it is, I realize it's not a mistake, that I haven't got a time zone wrong, that I actually got a time zone right.
Yeah.
Equally, I've accepted meetings before that have come through at 11 o'clock at night, whatever, where I'm just not going to do it. I don't need to do it. They're trying to sell me something, so I don't need to be online. So I can visually see through that 24-hour circle, which you can't see on a list. I work on a Mac and I work on an iPhone. And unless you've got a really big screen, you can't see from 5 in the morning till 10 at night on any one given view because it's linear or tabled.
This exactly.
Yeah, and I now understand it, Tina. As I said, I mean, I'm telling the viewers as well. I first got this and I looked in because I'd been so conditioned to looking at everything in a line. It's that tick-off mentality. If it's on that line and you can put a pen through it, then it's done. Well, in my case, I open it, change the date, and it disappears. Then it's done. But now I can actually see, and when I look at it, I actually realize how busy I am, which is a good or a bad thing. I'm not sure. So, yeah, thank you. I mean, thank you for letting me play with it. I think there's a free version and a paid version as well.
Yeah. So
wouldn't you just take us through the two different versions as to what you do or can't do or can do?
So with the free version, you can add 2 calendars. We figure that that's enough to try it out. And then with the paid version, then you get the pro features like, okay, first of all, you get all the calendars you want. And then you also get the time zone feature. And there's, other things like that. But I wanted to add one more thing, which I'm kind of excited about. Yes. Which is that we want to make a Apple Watch version next, because the complications now are large enough that we can take those circles and put them on the Apple Watch.
Actually, you're right, because I've actually just recently changed some of the complications on mine. I've got a shortcut that makes a phone call, and I've got my walking rings on the one corner. You can clearly see it. But now, are you actually looking at making that would be able to sit in the background as a face, or because Apple's a bit guarded when it comes to that, right?
That's what we're kind of trying to see, like how much we can get away with there. But it's because But the nice thing is that you can now have different, have the same app have different complications, which means that I can take the round complication and put that pi on it, and then take the rectangular complication and put the list on it. So essentially, you can have a watch face that looks basically like what you're looking at now.
That's cool.
That's very cool. I suppose Aryeh is leaning in there straight away to go. And when is Android coming?
Android is coming as soon as we get enough users of this that will then pay for developing the Android version.
That's fair. That's fair enough. There we go.
No, and also people have asked us at some point about why is this subscriptions? Out of principle, I don't pay subscriptions for apps. But the thing is that what people have to understand about app development in general, not just our app, all apps. I'm now speaking for all the developers out there. Is it's not sustainable anymore in the App Store to have an app that people pay once for, because in the beginning you'll have a bunch of users, but then your users are going to decline, but your need to do tech support is going to increase with the number of users. So that's why you end up with a bunch of abandonware in the App Store, is because there's apps that now have a bunch of angry users who are telling them that I paid my $2 for this app, and why don't you have 1 million new features yet?
Yeah. I look, I can share your pain. I mean, both Aryeh and myself have spent a lot of time, I think, in your shoes as well, building stuff on behalf of clients. And I mean, as advanced as we are, it is still incredibly expensive to build apps. I mean, people just don't realize that. Everyone say, "Oh, just build a progressive web app, or just build a website and build a wiki, or put a little widget on the phone." Yeah, that was the big thing with the widgets last year with iPhone. Oh, we got widgets now. Yeah, it's still not the same experience. Widgets are a quick launch. That's what they do. You still need everything else behind it. I said that to a client the other day. I said, fine, I'll build the widget, you build the product, and we'll see which
Right.
one costs more. And that's where it was muted. Aryeh, from your side, anything? I mean, you obviously couldn't get to experience it because you don't have an iPhone. But anything else that you've got on Pical, or maybe, I mean, Tina's not doing herself justice and some of the cool stuff she's built.
Actually, I can add one more thing to the
Yes,
things that was
please do.
sort of a side effect that I didn't realize until after we did the day view. We did the day view, and then I was thinking, okay, we need to do a month view. And initially we were thinking of a traditional month view. And then I realized, wait a second, if you have a bunch of these circles side by side, you can see not only what days do you have appointments on, which is what most calendar apps do, but you can see what time on those days are you free. So if somebody says, I want to meet you for lunch, you can look across all those circles and look at the tops of all the circles and look for some free time.
I've got that view up there, which is quite nice to see where my gaps are. So just at a glance, I can see where my gaps are, or if I'm going to be thinking about reaching out to someone, that's my month view. And then I've got my 4-day view as well. Really not busy this week. A bit slack. Need to change that. I thought I was busy, but clearly I'm not. But it's nice that I can actually have a look straight away and see where the gaps are. Mind you, a lot of those gaps are actually when I'm supposed to be sleeping. So I think in my defense,
Right.
I'm allowed to not be busy or have meetings while I'm asleep. I haven't got to that stage yet.
And we've also gotten feedback from users with ADD that they've been using it as a clock on their table. So they've just put it in a dock and they've kept it on all the time as just a desktop clock. So then we've been talking about maybe introducing features like having it, blink different colors as your appointment is approaching. Because again, one of the problems with ADD is that you might go, oh, I have half an hour until my next appointment. And then you do something and you space out. You completely lose track of time and you look back and it's already been half an hour. But something that kind of gets your attention increasingly as your appointment approaches is something that we've been discussing as a possibility.
I mean, I think even if we don't label, everyone has lost the ability to track time properly. Again, with COVID and working from home, where your professional and your personal life are actually totally melded into each other. Having something that you can just have a quick visual look at, and using, as you've said, up is noon, to the right would be end of day, to the left is beginning of day, and anything over that should be your time. It's just quick. It's a simple visual reference. Now I'm trying to be creative here to bring the word headsets into this discussion because Aryeh, as you may or may not know, you could probably spill some beans on him. As long as I've known him, he is headset crazy. I fast forwarded through a couple of slides. So while I go back to my slides that I was going to show earlier, get there. What headset are you wearing, Tina? I can see you've got a Boom mic.
Oh.
What brand have you got?
This is by Teenage Engineering, who makes the OPZ and the pocket operators. It's like synthesizers and that kind of thing.
Okay.
It's so just what I had on hand.
Our headset geek. Now, Aryeh and I, about 2 or 3 weeks ago, were on a show together and we spoke about these two bad boys. Looking at your head there, Mr. Sternberg, that looks like, did you go Bose?
I went Bose first, and then after 3 days, they went back to Amazon, and I went to the Sonys.
Really?
I did.
Are those Sonys? I mean, I've got this pretty picture up here, so I haven't zoomed in. I'll zoom you now. Okay, so that's interesting. So basically, Bose versus Sony, it sounds like Sony won. What happened, or why? What was the change?
So the first, I think the biggest change was just connectivity to the laptop. Bose was very difficult to connect, and it was fine with mobile. They've got an app, which is great, but the connecting to the Bluetooth on the Windows 10 was very difficult. And Sony.
Can I interrupt you there for a second? Sorry, it was a Windows 10 thing, right? It would have probably been perfect on a Mac. But yeah, carry on. Sorry, Windows 10, yes.
It might be, but it was the connectivity, and I went for the Bose because of all the reviews that said that just the voice quality on the microphones is going to be higher. Turned out to be not there, and from a portability perspective, a comfort perspective, it wasn't enough for me to not lean towards the Sonys, which continuously won sort of the other reviews of hands down being the best out there. I'm going to say that if I were to use the audio on the Sonys, which as you can see, I've got a
You wired, yeah.
I'm wired because I just went to go for a microphone at the end of the day. Also not that good, to be honest. But
Okay.
the sound quality, the comfort perspective, the portability in terms of
the fold,
the fold, just build quality. I think a better headset. I think that it's a tough call, but the Sony's definitely won me over at the end. And
okay.
I'm gonna
Now, how long have you had them? You said it lasted 3 days on the Bose, and then you sent them back. How long have you had the Sonys?
Just over 2 weeks.
Oh, okay. So then you well set. Now, I had to put this slide up. Sorry, Tina. You also can chirp in here anytime you want. This is like a personal thing between Aryeh and I. Always, when we get onto shows together, it always lands up on headsets. So I had to put this slide up as well, bud.
So was this always, or is this the pandemic?
No, always.
This is always.
As long as Aryeh and I have been mates and co-hosts of a show and business partners, it's always gone to headset. When your doorbell goes ding dong, not with a ring ding dong, it's just a ding dong, and this little gift pack arrives, you have to share it with Aryeh and show him the pictures. So these are the reviews that are coming up. Now, I'm incredibly excited about this here. This was how I reached out to JLab originally. They called frames. They clip onto the frame of your glasses. So you've got your Bose sunglasses. You can now take any pair of glasses and put them on and make them audio. And if you don't want them there, then they just become glasses again. And that was why I reached out to this brand. I have to give a shout out to JLab. I've reviewed, I think I showed you these ones before with the little wireless charger. The thing about JLab is they're offering a quality product at a really good price, like an incredibly good price. And I'm not just saying that. Basically, if you compare it to what else is out there, they're not trying to be the Sony MXs or the Bose or whatever. They're offering good. I mean, I couldn't wait. I probably see the ADD. I promised myself I wouldn't open it until I was ready to. But there they are. These are the little pops, which is the little box in the bottom that you can see. Okay, so it looks like the little Jabras or any other in-ear buds, the little buds. Now, here's the kicker, right? They come in some funky colors. I don't know if this is doing it justice. It's like a green, like a teal green. It's got its little cord built into it to charge it, like the other ones, not wireless charging. This is $20, 8 hours playtime. Okay, so 30 Australian. Now, there's my Jabras. So they're smaller than my Jabras. I have played. I couldn't wait. I'm not doing the review. I'll save this definitely for the next show. But the point that I'm getting at is that they are making these amazing products at incredible prices. And there's the Boom, because Tina's got one of the Boom. So I'll do a comparison to that as well. Again, Tina, sorry, I had to it was just, Aryeh, you missed this, dude. Crumpler. You've got a Crumpler, don't you? A bag? I got a Crumpler.
I've got a few, yeah.
They've just filed for voluntary liquidation. Anyway.
That's too bad. They're from Boulder.
Yeah. They're actually an Australian brand, aren't they, originally? I thought they were Australian. Anyway.
I think Crumpler, my hometown.
I've gone off my little segue that's coming. But I reached out to them originally for those frames. They were still being developed. And I said, now I have them. So I'm looking quite forward to reviewing them because I work with glasses on all the time. So we're going to have to definitely get you on a show when it comes to reviewing the tech. Tina, Ari and I both have the Bose sunglasses with the sound built in.
Ah,
And I've also got a pair called Lucid that I've done a comparison before as well. But thank you so much for joining us and getting up at, well, I like to say Sparrow's fart. 6:30 or 7:30, whatever ridiculous time it was.
earlier than I'm more lucid later on in the day.
Well, you were fine. Thank you for Pical. As I said, I am using it now. It's scheduled. It's set up. I love the time zone feature. That straight away is a red. And I've actually now picked up 2 meetings I've accepted that are way out of my time zone. When the guy reached out to me and said, "I would do it Eastern time," and I was thinking Australia, but he was talking New York.
Right.
14 hours difference. So, and I don't have a nice sauna to go hide in and make a call in the morning, so I just declined politely. But I did put the website up. I think there it is again. It's Pical.app, right? That's where people go, and from there they can link you.
Pical.app.
Cool. So go and check it out if you have an iPhone. Is there a place to subscribe coming soon for Android so people can find out? If there isn't,
Not yet, but that's a really good idea.
There we go.
I should put the sign up there. But we have a Telegram channel also, if people want to join that.
When you do the Android version, hit me up. I'll just do an update on the show for you as well. You know, we always, anything that's been featured as App of the Week or Things with a Z, as Ari and I call it, always happy to do updates on it. So when you do Android, let me know. Push it out to our Sony headset use over there, and I'm sure he'll then let me know as well.
Definitely.
But, thank you. I'm going to let you go back to sleep if you can. And keep building cool stuff. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much for having me on.
Nice to meet you.
Yes.
Bye. All right,
Thanks,
thanks for the introduction. So that's going to bring us up to the end of another show from Finland, lockdown, Australia, and pretty much the rest of the world. So until next time, keep your screens clean and your knobs shiny.